that I'm attempting to go forward with is, and I happen to agree with one thing that Michelle says, I don't happen to agree that women should be trained to get into a pageant and to win. We're trying to give these young ladies an opportunity to show themselves not as just physically attractive or the ability to perform a talent, but through a multifaceted competition that includes an awareness of their environment in its broadest sense,
yeah, but
an
Mr.
ability
Horn,
to articulate, give an opinion.
Mr. Horn,
we believe that these women are very good representatives of what the dynamic young generation of women are doing today. These women go out into the world, and for the most part, whether they win or they don't win, they've had a positive experience if they look upon it that way. We have many, many women, hundreds and hundreds of women, who are out in the world as doctors, lawyers. We have women, one woman who's competed 3 or 4 years ago is working in a hospital in Africa. We have a woman who's working on the staff of Harvard Medical School.
That's all well and good, but isn't the fact of the matter that many, many women hire pageant coaches so that they can have themselves physically molded into this image of what they think a beauty pageant winner is going to be?
If they do that, we certainly don't encourage it. I personally don't feel that they should be doing that. That's an individual choice that any person can make if they're going to compete in any competition.
I was coached. I know that a lot of the people competing for Miss California with me were coached. Everyone's coached.
Well,
I mean, not necessarily hire someone, but there are experienced people, people who I knew and talked about with them, they were coached too.
Don't say that everyone is coached, because they are not.
Well, not everyone, but
in our
people I knew.
In our program, we do not encourage coaching or training. I know it takes place, and I do not believe it really should be. If a young woman needs advice or help to put her best foot forward, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's an individual choice.
One last question, Mr. Horn. What do you say to someone who says that the swimsuit competition is reducing women to mere body parts?
Well, let me say this. The swimsuit competition is obviously controversial, but the swimsuit competition has been a traditional and integral part of the Miss America pageant program since 1921. There are some reasonable rationalizations for continuing it.
Like one?
Well, the one that was already indicated, which is, and Miss America said this herself, if you're going to compete on a multifaceted basis, one of the things you would look for is whether the young woman has enough self-discipline to keep herself in reasonable physical shape. But you must also consider something else. The Miss America pageant is a non-profit corporation, unlike Miss USA and Universe and the rest of those pageants. We are no different than the U.S. Olympic Committee. We need corporate sponsorship. Without corporate sponsorship, there is no money to drive the program or to have any of the scholarship
Without a swimsuit
money.
competition, there will be no money.
Nothing in life can be done necessarily with perfection. You've got to make certain compromises.
And are the sponsors the ones who are saying you've got to keep the swimsuit competition?
Some sponsors believe that if we eliminate the swimsuit competition, we'll eliminate a large part of the viewership. That would reduce the ratings. So all I'm saying is...
So money is the motive then? You just said it was a non-profit organization.
About what we do with the swimsuit competition. I might say that we have been discussing for the last few years potential alternatives to the swimsuit competition. I don't disagree that the swimsuit competition today, asking a woman to be in a swimsuit and high-heeled shoes, is necessarily the right way to look for the type of person that we're looking for. Nonetheless, it is respected by a large majority or a large number of people that watch the program that might be disappointed if we don't do it. So we have to be very careful if we're going to find an alternative.
Okay, all right, Mr. Horn, Leonard Horn, the CEO of the Miss America pageant, thank you very much for joining us. Before we go to the break, I just want to ask the audience and give us a show of hands. How many would not watch if there wasn't a swimsuit competition in the Miss America pageant? There was one hand. So you would all watch, even if there was not a swimsuit competition. Would you all watch?
Yes.
You really would all watch, huh? Yes. There you have it. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Are there some states that never win the Miss America contest? Do all Miss Americas go on to be rich and famous? We'll find out when we come right back. Stay with us. know we have a few people in our audience today who are directly involved with pageants. I want you to meet Christy Pittner. And Christy, you are Miss Ventnor?
I was Miss Ventnor.
You were Miss Ventnor?
Yes,
okay.
last year.
Now, you tell me, do you live for pageants?
I don't live for them, but I have an excellent time. It's so much fun, you don't understand. I don't agree with anything with what Michelle said, because it's not true.
Why isn't it true? You don't feel any pressures by any pageant officials?
If you feel that way, you shouldn't be there. You just should have a good time, and that's all it is.
No one's ever told you to lose a little weight?
They told me to gain 8 pounds.
Well, so that's a reverse kind of pressure, perhaps, huh?
Not pressure, because I don't feel it's pressure at all, because myself told myself I had to gain 8 pounds, because I didn't feel right. So when you don't feel right, you do something about it. And I don't tape myself, and I don't pad anything.
What is it like, then, being involved with the pageants? Why do you do it?
For the fun, most of it is for the fun. The other is for scholarship, because schools are expensive.
But what about the sacrifices that you have to make in order to win those scholarships? Don't you put out a lot of money?
I put out a lot of money, yeah.
How much are we talking?
Well, I sold my car to buy my evening gown.
And this is a scholarship pageant. Routinely, it has been my experience talking with a few contestants of the Miss California pageant. They put out well over what they get back in scholarships.
Well, that was my choice. So.
That's right. If that's her
sure,
choice,
that's your choice.
Why
But for the pageant to hide behind this guise of scholarship and like school is what it's life or death, whether these girls go to school or not, is ridiculous, because most people drop out of school to enter pageants. That's been my experience, and most people invest far more than they reap.
I'm going back to school. I was just married a couple of weeks ago. Thank goodness that I was in the pageant. I not only met my husband. We've bought a new house. I was able to contribute 50% with our house, and I also have thousands of dollars put away in pageant scholarships so that I can go back to school.
And this is as a result of your efforts in the
Exactly.
pageants. Now, what is it? I want you to tell me what it's like the night that you're standing up there and they say, Christy Pittner, Miss Ventnor.
It's the most exciting thing you could ever imagine in your whole life, because you work so hard on for yourself. You're doing this all for yourself. If you have to do it for anybody else, you shouldn't be there, as I said. But I worked so hard because I competed in gymnastics for 10 years, and it really paid off, I think, when I won the Miss Ventnor pageant. And I competed in the Miss New Jersey pageant last
Aren't those good feelings worth something, Michelle Anderson?
Oh, sure. A lot of people get positive ego strokes when they're in the swimsuit competition, when they win. I don't deny that, and I certainly don't deny women the right to do that. I had a wonderful time at the Miss California pageant. A lot of the women were very intelligent, extremely talented, wonderful people to hang out with, and I had a great time. That does not deny the fact that we are putting up an icon that perpetuates a lot of dangerous stereotypes about women, that perpetuates the idea that you have to look like this in order to be considered beautiful. So wonderful people can still be doing wrong things.
Not at all.
You don't think we're putting up an icon?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, Christy Pittner, thanks very much. Good luck to you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Joining us now is Lisa DiPaolo. I want to introduce you to Lisa. She is the associate editor of Philadelphia Magazine and something of a Miss America expert, because she covers the pageant for TV Guide. And please welcome Lisa. Because you are sort of the self-described Miss America pageant expert, I want you to first give us your reaction to what you're hearing, first of all, this morning.
I agree with a lot that's being said by just about everyone for one very big reason. Pageants do something that's really, really important for women, and that is it gives them scholarship money, and money is power. And in a lot of ways, I really think that the women who enter this they want the same thing men want. They want status, they want glory, they want money, they want power, they want recognition.
But what about what they have to go through to get that?
That's the problem. It's the means by which they get that power that is very frightening. When the largest scholarship program for women in the country makes its entrants appear dumber than they really are, there's something very wrong. What's important here is that there's a Miss America pageant and there's a Miss America program. The pageant is what the public sees. They see that 3-hour television program. And what do you see? You see a woman come up to the microphone and say, "Hi, I'm Miss Georgia from the Peachtree State." There is no way, when you hear that you're going to say, "Wow, what a bright woman." Maybe she's going to be a lawyer, and maybe she's going to be a rocket scientist. It's just not going to happen.
So you think the women aren't dumb, the pageants are?
Yes.
In Miss USA, let me point out, we do, excuse me, we do have an interview, a personal interview with each girl, and she's expected to speak in front of millions of people and come across...
That's a very... Go ahead. That's
and she's expected to come across intelligent with some personality and with some direction in her life. And that comes first.
It is different. And Miss America, too, goes through lengthy, excruciating interviews the week before the pageant. These women are asked questions. How would you balance the federal budget? They are asked questions, seriously, they have been, that presidential candidates aren't asked. These women are asked. It is true. They will all tell you this. The problem is that television show does not show you that interview. That television show shows you an evening gown. It shows you a swimsuit. It shows you, hi, I'm Miss Georgia.
But isn't it showing what the viewers want to see?
Interesting, because they don't know if that's what the viewers want to see unless they try something else.
Lisa, 75 million people watch the Miss America pageant every year.
Right, but you don't know. It's like, you know, I work in magazines. You can say, well, this cover works, so we're always going to put a pretty girl on the cover because we know it's going to sell. Well, you don't know if another cover will sell unless you try it. I suggest that they try it, that they let these women speak on television. Very good example was last year. Last year's winner, and she is a remarkable woman, Kaylani Ray Rafko, the current Miss America. She is a registered nurse who has devoted her life to nursing in a very, very difficult branch of nursing, oncology. She has worked with people with AIDS. She has gone around the country speaking about AIDS and the necessity for education, and she has done that since the moment they put that crown on her head. Nobody here knows that, because all they saw of Kaylani Ray Rafko was a pretty girl in a swimsuit.
Okay, but
no one knew that she was this bright, brilliant, wonderful nurse.
Hold your thought, Michelle. We've got to take a break. We'll be right back with more Beauty Pageant on Trial. As people are talking, continue. Stay with us.
What could possibly drive a mother to do the unthinkable, attempt to kill her children? The story of Diane Downs and other mothers who murder, tomorrow at 10, right here on People Are Talking.
This is Denise White. I want you to meet her. Now, Denise is Miss Pennsylvania Modern Miss Preteen. Is that right? Did I get all that in right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Now, how old are you, Denise?
13.
All right. What about the young women who are coming up in pageants now, hearing all of this and thinking, oh, man, you know, you're killing it for me. What do you think?
A year ago, after hearing you, I would have been, no, I don't want to get into this. But since I did, it was a lot of fun, and I got the chance to meet a lot of people. I got a lot of exposure. I got a chance to utilize my talents. I'm playing classical music. I mean, it's some good points about it, but I wouldn't, right now, I don't think I would want to go to the Miss USA pageant or Miss America or Miss Universe. Yeah.
Well, thank you. You must be a very open-minded person to be standing as a pageant contestant and yet, willing to listen to other points of view. I think that's wonderful.
I think that's an important point. If at any time that any of the women feel used, I agree, drop out. If you're not getting totally good things out of it for yourself, then you shouldn't be there. And I would have quit the second that I felt that way.
Darlene Dealey, former Miss Pennsylvania.
86, 87.
86, 87. Would you do it again?
I'd do it all over again. And one thing, I do have to congratulate you, Michelle Anderson. I may have been one of 51 contestants in the Miss America pageant. Nobody knows of Darlene Dealey, really. I was in it 1 year. You've made national news. Congratulations. That's a nice way to get publicity.
That's right.
Ooh, now wait a minute, wait a minute. Oh. So, what is it you're really trying to say here, Darlene? You saying that she did this for the attention and the spotlight?
Well, she's got it.
Excuse me, Michelle wants to be a writer. We were talking about that earlier. I think this is I do agree. I think this is an excellent way for her to get her name out there.
And I think that's great. Maybe if I had the same issues, I would have done the same thing. I was a gymnast. I love to perform. Put me on a stage. My goal was to do a flip on Atlantic City's Convention Hall stage. I did it.
And you feel pretty darn good about that, don't you?
Yeah, I may not have won, but I was there.
But you didn't use people to get get to your goal.
I didn't use people either.
Yes, you did.
I
Yes,
had a point to make.
I'm afraid you did.
But well, that's fine if that's what you're saying. I'm saying that I had a point to make, and I went through the pageant to make a point,
You're
and
saying
I used that stage.
the pageant uses, by using their bodies,
to get involved in the pageant and to expose the lies that are behind the scenes. I have no problem with that.
You know, you exploited yourself.
Absolutely, and pageants exploit all women. I was exploited by them.
You live in a free country.
Investigative journalism has a very proud and good history in social science. This is what women do. Women had to masquerade as men and get into voting polls and cause disruptions to get the vote. This is a tradition that people do to create interesting education and to bring up issues.
Do you admit then that you did exploit yourself?
Pageants exploit people.
Let me ask you something. I'm against pornography too, hardcore, violent pornography, but I would never subject myself to it in order to make a point.
Oh, neither would I. I mean,
well, you're saying basically the same thing. You're saying basically the exact same thing, Michelle.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more right after this. Stay with us. What message do pageants then send out, Lisa and Paula?
They send a different message out to the contestants that are about to enter than they do to the public, unfortunately. And right now the message they're sending out to contestants who enter is there is a norm and there is a mold and you must fit that to win. These women are smart enough to know how to play the game to win. What they are like on television is not always what they're like afterwards or before.
Are pageants sexist?
Are pageants sexist? I don't know. Am I sexist? Are you sexist? Can you tell me the color of my eyes without me telling you what color they are? No, they're not sexist. If you can't stand the heat, don't get in the kitchen. Leave these girls go, have their pageants, enjoy life. You aren't enjoying life. You're trying to make a point. You've got you're in here. Why do you wear those earrings like that? They attract attention. How about the glasses? How about the way you're sitting? It all attracts attention.
I'm just
sitting leave these girls go. They're enjoying life. They're not being hurt through it. This lady has a nice home, her husband, and everything else.
But all of that is fine and good, and yeah, everybody really likes pageants because they're fun to watch and nobody really gets harmed. The important thing to understand is that experts are now telling us that the media image of women perpetuated by pageants, perpetuated by the media, is women to have anorexia and bulimia.
You're telling the American public that they're stupid for letting their daughters go and be in pageants and die of anorexia. They're not that stupid. My parents, my grandparents, my friends would have yanked me. They would have said, your senses. You're too thin.
What is very important here is that other viewpoints have to be tolerated within the Miss America program, within other pageants. She has a different viewpoint. And right now, the viewpoints are generally generic. And you're saying, we should be individuals, we should have our own thoughts.
But they all look alike.
And at the same time, you're criticizing her for having her own thoughts, and
Oh,
that's a problem.
no, absolutely not. Women today are making great strides. She's going to help a lot of women. I'm going to help a lot of women. That's what's so terrific about the world, the United States that we live in. A lot of women in other countries don't even have that freedom.
All right, question.
I think that everybody markets themselves. I think you market yourself, and I think that the people in the pageant market themselves. That's their choice, and it's their right. And I think it's done all the time in society, and that's the way you get ahead.
So you have no problem with the preparation and the physical mold?
Absolutely
not. What about surgery? I mean, do women go through surgery?
Oh, sure. And they go through.
And people go through surgery in regular life.
That's true.
If they decide they want to.
What's important is that these women are bright. They are not perceived as bright for good reason. They are not shown their brightest side. They are not shown, their intelligence is not the thing that stands out on that stage. And that is, I think, the biggest problem with the pageant.
But it stands out in the year afterwards.
All right.
It certainly does.
I have to tell you, this has been fascinating. I am glad that we were able to present both sides. And where else but in the U.S. of A. can we do that, right?
That's right.
I want to thank you, Michelle Royer Jefferson, Michelle Anderson. Thank you very much for being here. Lisa DePaulo. Our beauty contestants here. Oh, and we didn't say hi to, this is former Miss New Jersey 1980, Joni Borelli. And
hi.
I'm sorry we
That's
didn't get
quite
to you,
all right.
but here she is, right? Miss New Jersey, 1980, right? All right. We'll be right back with more people to talk to right after this. Stay with us. She is beautiful, talented, and a thoughtful entertainer with a past full of troubles. She was raised in a home with an alcoholic father, became pregnant at 17, arrested for bouncing bad checks, and eventually a skyrocketing TV career that crashed in the headlines over a contract dispute. This Monday, hear and meet Suzanne Summers live on People Are Talking. Then on Tuesday, it's a no-holds-barred discussion on what really turns men on. An illustrious panel of attractive and single men have agreed to answer any and all questions you have about what they really want from a woman. Maybe there is no difference between the women they date and the ones they marry, and maybe there is. Do men and women want completely different things? We'll find out on Tuesday. We're holding seats just for you in that audience, this audience right here. So call right now for your free tickets, 238-4940. Again, 238-4940. Come on down and be a part of the fun. Tomorrow, a very serious discussion, mothers who murder. You won't want to miss it. I'm Jerry Penacoli. Thanks very much for joining us today. See you at 5:30 for the news tonight, and right back here tomorrow at 10 on People Are Talking. Have a good day now. Bye-bye.